In the far corners of the galaxy, on a planet untouched by cities or machines, a human explorer named Leo walked carefully through the thick alien jungle. He was part of a peaceful expedition from Earth. Their goal was simple: collect samples, record data, and leave without disturbing the natural balance. The planet, known to scientists as Viridia 6, was full of colors never seen on Earth. Giant trees with silver leaves reached high into the sky. Strange flowers opened and closed like they were breathing. But there were also dangers. The creatures here didn't always welcome outsiders. Leo moved slowly through the undergrowth. His boots sank into the soft, mossy ground. He carried a scanner in one hand and a sample kit on his back. His team was miles away at the main camp. He liked exploring alone. It gave him time to think. As he crouched beside a glowing vine to take a sample, something moved behind him. He turned quickly, but too late. A wild beast, long and thin with sharp claws and green skin, leapt out from the bush. Leo dodged, but the creature's claws scratched his shoulder. He fell back, groaning in pain, and pulled out a small stun stick. A quick jolt from it scared the beast away. Breathing hard, Leo sat on the ground and checked his wound. It wasn't deep, but blood ran down his arm. He tore a piece of cloth from his sleeve and tied it around the injury. He didn't know someone was watching. High above in the trees, a pair of violet eyes followed his every move. A young alien woman named Zira crouched silently among the branches. Her skin had a soft, pale blue tone, and her small elf-like ears twitched as she listened. She had been watching him for hours, curious but cautious. Her people rarely came this close to outsiders, but something changed the moment she smelled his blood. Zira's heart started racing. Her skin felt warm. A strange heat rose inside her chest, one she couldn't explain. She touched the bark beside her and closed her eyes, trying to focus, but the scent was everywhere. It called to her like a song from deep within the forest. She had learned the stories. Her ancestors once warned of this reaction, when the body responds to something ancient, something buried deep in their kind's past. But she never believed those stories. Until now, Zara climbed down from the trees, one silent step after another. She didn't mean to scare the human. She just needed to understand. Leo was still seated near the tree when he felt something, a presence. He turned and saw her. She stood in the shadow between the trees, her pale skin glowing softly under the filtered sunlight. Her white and green robes moved gently with the breeze. Her silver hair was tied behind her, and her eyes looked both calm and intense. Leo blinked. He had seen sketches of the native species, but none matched the beauty and grace of the woman before him. Zira stepped closer. Slowly, Leo raised his hand, showing he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't hurt you." She tilted her head, listening to his voice. "You are human?" she asked in a soft, broken voice. He nodded. "Yes, my name is Leo. I'm from Earth." Zira's eyes dropped to the cloth on his shoulder. The blood had soaked through it. She stepped closer, her breath quickening. "I didn't mean to enter your land without permission," Leo added quickly. "I was just collecting samples." Zira didn't answer right away. She seemed distracted, staring at the spot where the blood had fallen on the ground. Leo noticed her strange behavior. "Are you okay?" She looked up, blinking fast as if coming out of a dream. "Your blood, it called to me." Leo frowned. "Called?" Zira placed a hand over her heart. "We react to things. Scent, sound, feelings. But your blood—" She paused, her face turning red. "It awakens something inside me." Leo wasn't sure what she meant, but he stayed calm. "Is it dangerous?" "No," she said quickly. "Not dangerous, but confusing." Zara stepped back, embarrassed by her sudden closeness. "I should not be here," she said. "My people, they do not like contact with outsiders." Leo nodded, understanding. "But you came anyway." She looked down. "Yes." For a moment they just stood in silence. The sounds of the jungle echoed around them: soft wind, distant bird-like calls, the gentle hum of insects. Leo noticed she kept glancing at him, then looking away. Zara finally asked, "You are alone?" "Yes," Leo said. "My team is at the base camp. But I prefer walking alone." Zyra stepped closer again. You must not go far. The beasts grow bold when the sun lowers. Leo chuckled lightly. I learned that the hard way. Zyra touched the bark of the nearby tree and closed her eyes. There is a safer place not far. Come with me. Leo hesitated, then looked into her eyes. He saw no sign of harm, only concern. Okay, he said. Lead the way. Zyra walked ahead, her movements silent and light. Leo followed, holding his injured arm. As they moved through the jungle, he couldn't help but notice how the trees seemed to part slightly for her, as if the forest itself respected her presence. They arrived at a small hidden grove surrounded by tall stones and glowing flowers. A small pool of clear water sat in the middle, reflecting the sky above. Zyra turned to him. Sit, I will help. She knelt beside him and opened a pouch she carried. From it, she took soft leaves and a paste made from crushed roots. Carefully, she unwrapped the cloth on his shoulder. Her fingers trembled slightly as she touched his skin, and Leo noticed, Is everything okay? He asked softly. She nodded quickly, not meeting his gaze. Yes, I'm just not used to being this close, Leo smiled. I appreciate the help. As she applied the paste, she whispered something in her language, a calming phrase. 1. Her people used for healing. Zyra finished and wrapped his shoulder in a cleaner cloth. You must rest. This place is safe. Leo looked around. It's beautiful. She sat beside him, watching the water. I used to come here as a child. It was quiet, peaceful. Leo leaned back, relaxing. The pain in his shoulder had already faded. He turned to her. Zyra, what does my blood really do to you? Zyra took a deep breath. I do not know how to explain. It is not just scent, it is connection, like a pull. Our bodies sense harmony. Leo stayed quiet, letting her continue. Zyra added, It's rare, very rare, my kind. We were not meant to feel this anymore. But your blood reminds my body of something forgotten. Leo looked into her eyes, thoughtful. Then maybe there's more between our kinds than we ever knew. Zyra looked down, her voice soft. Maybe. And as the alien moon began to rise above the jungle, the two sat quietly side by side, human and alien both, wondering what destiny had just begun to stir. The jungle night was different from the day. It didn't sleep. It whispered. Leaves rustled, strange birds called from the dark, and small creatures scurried under the thick plants. But inside the small grove where Leo and Zyra sat, everything felt calm. The glowing flowers around the pond gave off a soft light, and the air was cool. Zyra sat near the water, her legs crossed, eyes closed. Leo rested against a smooth stone, his arm feeling much better now. The herb she had used worked. Faster than anything in his med-kit. Leo had questions, so many questions. But he waited. Zyra was quiet, as if listening to something deep inside herself. After a while, she opened her eyes and spoke. I felt it again, she said, almost in a whisper. Leo turned to her. The same feeling? Zyra nodded slowly. When I touched your skin to clean the wound, it became stronger. Leo didn't know what to say. Does it hurt you? No, she replied. But it pulls me closer. It's hard to explain. Like my thoughts are mine, but my body moves on its own. Leo's brow furrowed. Like instinct? Zyra looked at him, surprised. Yes, that's the word, instinct. She lowered her eyes, almost ashamed. I shouldn't feel this. Not. For an outsider, it's not allowed. Why not? Leo asked gently. Our traditions are old, Zyra explained. We were once open to others, long ago. But after many betrayals, we closed ourselves. Now, contact with outsiders is rare and bonding is forbidden. Leo leaned forward, careful not to show any pressure. Do your people believe all outsiders are bad? She looked up, her eyes glowing slightly in the moonlight. Not all. But we're taught not to trust. Leo gave a soft smile. Well, I hope I can prove them wrong. Zyra smiled too, just a little. You are different, I can feel it. She stood up and walked to the pond, dipping her hands in the water. My body keeps reacting to you. It's not something I can stop. Leo joined her by the edge. Then maybe it's not a bad thing, Zaira stared into the water. It's not bad, but it's strong. My people believe when our instincts are triggered this way, it means something ancient is awakening. Leo thought about that. Do you think it's a kind of connection? Something between your kind and mine? Zaira nodded. Yes, I think we were once closer than the stories tell. Suddenly her ears twitched. She turned her head quickly toward the trees. Leo stood alert. What is it? Zaira's face grew serious. Someone is coming? From the shadows of the forest, several figures stepped into the grove. They wore dark robes with armor pieces carved from crystal and bone. Their faces were calm, but their eyes showed anger and warning. Zaira took a step forward, raising her hand. He is not an enemy, he's hurt. I brought him here to heal. One of the older aliens, with white markings across his forehead, stepped forward. You brought him here, Zaira? You brought a human into sacred ground? Zaira stood firm. He didn't know he was attacked. I helped him. Another woman from the group looked at Leo with cold eyes. He bleeds, and you follow him like the old legends. You feel the bond, don't you? Zaira looked away, silent. The old man sighed deeply. This is dangerous. You know what happened last time one of our kind gave in to this feeling? Leo stepped forward calmly. I don't mean any harm. I'm not here to cause problems. The woman snapped. Your presence is already a problem. Zaira turned back to them. You don't understand. It's not just a reaction. It's something more, something real. The old man shook his head. You must come with us. Now, the council will decide what to do. Zaira looked at Leo, her heart heavy. I'm sorry, I have to go. Leo nodded. I understand. As the group turned to leave, one of the younger guards whispered to another, the bond has begun. If it grows stronger, we won't be able to stop it. Zaira walked with them, glancing back one last time at Leo, before disappearing into the dark trees. The next morning, Leo woke up alone in the grove. The glowing flowers were dim now, and the pond was still. He touched his shoulder. The pain was gone. But the emptiness inside him was something else. He stood up and started walking back toward the direction of his base camp. But deep inside he knew he couldn't leave. Not yet. He needed to understand what had happened between them. Meanwhile, inside a stone hall hidden in the forest, Zaira stood before the council elders of her people. The room was silent. The elders sat in a circle around her, their faces unreadable. You say you felt the bond? One of them asked. Zaira nodded. Yes, it began with the scent of his blood. Another elder leaned forward. And you followed. I had to, Zaira said. It was too strong. The oldest among them stood. His voice was deep. Then the ancient bloodline has awakened again. Gasps filled the room. Zaira frowned. You knew? The elder nodded. There were stories, lost in time, that once humans and our kind were not strangers, that some humans carried the key to awaken a bond that would change both species. But we buried those stories, another elder added quickly. They were dangerous. Zaira took a deep breath. He's not dangerous, he's kind. He didn't ask for this, but I feel it. I feel the connection growing stronger. The council looked at each other, worried. If this continues, one said, you won't be able to control it. Zaira's voice was firm. I don't want to control it. I want to understand it. The elders paused. Then the head elder said, you may stay in the sacred grounds for now, but you must not see the human again. If the bond deepens, it may. 'Cause problems we cannot predict. Zaira's heart sank. I understand. But deep inside, she already knew she would see him again. Back in the jungle, Leo found a quiet place near a stream. He sat on a rock, looking at the trees, thinking about Zaira, her words, her touch, the way she looked at him. He couldn't forget. Suddenly, a rustle came from the trees behind him. He turned quickly and saw her. Zaira stepped out from the shadows, her face serious but calm. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at him. Leo stood up. You came back. I had to, she said. They want me to forget you. But I can't, Leo nodded. I feel the same. Zaira stepped closer, her voice low. I don't know where this leads, but I don't want to run from it. Leo looked into her eyes. Then let's face it together. She reached for his hand, and he took it. The connection, quiet and invisible, pulsed between them like a heartbeat. Zyra and Leo walked together under the wide green canopy, side by side, each step quiet but full of unspoken thoughts. The sunlight slipped between the trees like golden fingers, touching their faces gently. Birds flew in patterns above them, and the sound of water flowed somewhere nearby. Neither of them had spoken much since they left the grove, but they didn't need to. Their eyes met from time to time, and that was enough. Zyra broke the silence first. They will come looking for me, Leo glanced at her. Because of me? Yes, she said softly, but not only that. Because of what I feel, Leo's heart beat a little faster. You said before, it's a bond? Zyra nodded. Yes. The more time we spend together, the stronger it becomes. I don't fully understand it, but I know it's real. Leo touched his shoulder where she had treated his wound days ago. It started with blood, but now it feels like more. Zyra stopped walking. She turned to face him. Do you feel it too? Leo looked into her eyes. Yes, I didn't want to say it first, but I feel something I can't explain. Like I'm drawn to you, Zyra smiled, just a little. Her cheeks turned a soft shade of purple, a sign of emotion in her species. Then it's not just me. They stood in silence again, but this time it was warm and comforting. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the quiet air, a loud screech, followed by the beating of wings. Zyra's eyes narrowed. Scouts, Leo frowned. Your people? Yes, she said quickly. We must go. If they find us now, they'll take me back. Leo didn't hesitate. Then let's move. They ran together through the trees, careful to avoid open paths. Zyra knew secret ways, animal trails, hidden spots between rocks, narrow caves formed by roots. They ran for what felt like hours, until the sky began to darken. Finally, they stopped near a large stone structure covered in moss. It looked old, very old, almost forgotten by time. What is this place? Leo asked, breathing hard. Zyra touched the stone with respect. An ancient temple. My ancestors built it long before my people closed themselves off. Few even remember it exists. Leo looked around. Vines wrapped the pillars, and the stone walls were carved with strange symbols. He noticed images of humans and aliens together, hands joined, eyes glowing, heads touching. These carvings, he said slowly. They show our kinds together, Zyra nodded. This was before the fear. Before the war between the stars, there was trust once. Maybe even love. They entered the temple. Inside, the air was cool and smelled like earth and stone. The carvings continued along the wall, scenes of healing, shared meals, and ceremonies under starlight. Zyra walked to the center of the room. There, on the floor, was a large circular mark with symbols around the edge. She knelt and touched. My grandmother told me a story, she said. That one day, when a human and one of us found each other again, this place would wake. Leo knelt beside her. What does it mean? I don't know, she said honestly. But maybe we're part of that story. Suddenly, the circle under their hands glowed with soft light. Leo pulled his hand back in surprise. Did we do that? Zyra's eyes widened. It's reacting to us. The carvings on the walls lit up too, like lines of starlight moving across. Stone. Zyra stood, feeling something in her chest, a warmth, a vibration deep within. She reached for Leo's hand again, and when their fingers touched, the glow became brighter. Leo's breath caught. This is incredible. They stood there, hand in hand, surrounded by ancient light. Then the sound of footsteps echoed outside the temple. Zyra pulled her hand back. They're here, Leo nodded. We need to hide. She pointed to a narrow hallway behind the carvings. There's a chamber. Come quickly. They moved quietly down the hall just as shadows filled the temple behind them. In the temple, 3 scouts entered. One of them, tall and sharp-eyed, walked slowly toward the center where the light still pulsed. The bond has awakened, he said. They were here. Another scout knelt near the circle. The temple hasn't glowed in hundreds of years. This is no accident, the leader narrowed his eyes. She's gone too far. We must report to the elders. But what about the human? One asked. The leader looked around. If we find him, we end it before it grows stronger. In the chamber behind the wall, Zara and Leo sat close together in the dark. The walls glowed faintly, just enough to see each other's faces. They'll come for you first, Leo whispered. I can lead them away. Zara shook her head. No, I won't let you do that. I'm just one human. They won't chase me far, but you're not just anyone, she said firmly. You're part of this. The bond, the temple. It chose both of us. Leo sighed. So what do we do? Zara thought for a moment. We need help, not from my people, but from yours. If we can reach your camp, maybe we can find a way to speak with the council together. Leo nodded. That's a long trip. Through wild ground, Zara smiled faintly. We've already come this far, Leo chuckled. Fair point. They sat together, their shoulders touching lightly. Zara looked at him. Do you regret meeting me? He turned his head. Not even for a second, she lowered her gaze, her voice soft. Even though it's dangerous? Yes, he replied. Because you made me feel something I didn't know I was missing. Zara's cheeks colored again. You make me feel the same. They sat in the quiet chamber, both feeling the pull inside them growing stronger, not just instinct, but something deeper. Something sacred. That night, they slipped out of the temple and moved through the jungle under cover of darkness. Stars lit the sky above, and the moon cast silver across the leaves as they walked. Zara whispered stories of her people of old bonds, broken promises, and lost connections. Leo listened closely. Maybe it's time we make new stories. Zara nodded. Together. The jungle before dawn was silent. Leo and Zara moved carefully through the shadows. The moon still hung in the sky, but its light was fading. Birds had not yet begun to sing, and the wind carried only the soft rustle of leaves. They had left the ancient temple behind hours ago. Though tired, they kept walking. Every sound in the distance reminded them that Zara's people were still searching. Are you sure this way is safe? Leo asked, stepping over a root. Zara glanced at the narrow trail. It's old, forgotten. My grandmother once used it during her youth. It leads away from the village, toward the river valley. Leo nodded. And once we reach the river? There's a passage between the cliffs, she said. It leads to the outer jungle, not far from your camp. They walked in silence. For a while. Then Zara said quietly, Thank you for staying with me. Leo gave a soft smile. I couldn't leave you behind. We're in this together. Zara looked away, but he saw her lips curve slightly as daylight began to rise. They reached a small cliff overlooking a wide valley. Mist floated between the trees below. The river shimmered like a silver ribbon. Zara pointed. There, that path near the rocks, it leads down. Leo looked impressed. It's beautiful. Zara took a deep breath. I used to come here as a child, but it feels different now. Leo turned to her. Because of me? She looked at him. Because of us? They began to climb down the narrow trail. The stone was damp and slippery, but Zara led with careful steps. Leo followed close behind, keeping his balance. Suddenly, a sound echoed from above. Zara froze. They've found us. Leo looked up and saw two scout figures standing at the top of the cliff, holding energy staffs. Go! Zara shouted. Run! They rushed down the trail as the scouts began climbing after them. Leo and Zara reached the bottom of the cliff and dashed into the trees. Branches whipped past them as they pushed forward, deeper into the valley. Zara led him to a narrow stream and pointed across. We can lose them in the rocks. They splashed through the water and climbed up the other side. Just beyond the trees, they found a group of stone formations tall and twisted like pillars. Zara ducked behind a large one. Pulling Leo with her, they both caught their breath, backs against the stone. Did we lose them? Leo asked in a low voice. Zara closed her eyes, listening. For now, Leo wiped sweat from his forehead. We can't keep running like this forever, Zara agreed. We need a better way. She looked at the rocks around them. Then her eyes lit up. There's a tunnel here. It connects to an old route path underground. Leo raised an eyebrow. You sure? She nodded. I remember finding it when I was younger. If it hasn't collapsed, it should take us halfway to your camp. They searched quickly and found a hidden opening between the stones, covered by moss and thick roots. Zara pulled them aside and motioned Leo to enter. The tunnel was dark and narrow. The air was damp and cool. They had to crawl at first, but soon it opened into a larger passage. Glowing moss on the walls gave off soft green. Leo looked around. This place is amazing, Zara smiled. It's part of the old forest. My people don't use these paths anymore. As they walked deeper, the sounds of the jungle faded. Only their footsteps remained. Leo turned to her. Zara, do you think your people will ever accept this bond? She was quiet for a moment. Some might, others won't. They fear what they don't understand. Leo nodded. Same with humans. Zara paused beside a carving on the tunnel wall. It showed two figures, one human, one like her standing under a star. Their hands were joined. My grandmother told me this was once a symbol of unity, Zara said, but now it's forgotten. Leo placed his hand on the carving. Maybe we can bring it back. Zara looked at him with soft eyes. Maybe we were meant to meet. Their eyes held for a long moment. The silence between them was full of emotion. Then the ground beneath them trembled. What was that? Leo asked. Zara looked ahead. Something's moving. They rushed forward and found the path ending at a wide underground chamber. A deep crack had formed in the stone floor, and part of the tunnel had collapsed. We can't go further. Leo said. Zara pointed to a narrow side path. We can climb through that gap. As they started toward it, a loud crash echoed from behind. A scout had found the entrance. Zara turned to Leo. Go, I'll stop them. Leo grabbed her arm. No. We stay together. She looked torn, but nodded. They ran into the narrow path, climbing over rocks and ducking under low ceilings. Dust filled the air. The ground shook again. Part of the tunnel was falling apart. Finally, light appeared ahead. They crawled out into a wide clearing where the jungle opened up. Fresh air hit their faces, and sunlight poured through the trees. Zara pointed. That hill. From there, we can contact your team. They climbed quickly, reaching the top where a large rock sat. Leo pulled out his communicator from his bag and turned it on. The screen blinked. Signal found. Leo smiled. It's working. He sent out a beacon signal. Zara looked out across the jungle. They'll be here soon. Leo stepped beside her. And your people? She shook her head. They won't follow this far. Not unless they're desperate. Leo put his hand on hers. Are you okay? Zara looked into his eyes. I am when I'm with you. They stood close, hearts racing, but calm. Suddenly, the communicator beeped. A voice came through. Leo, this is base camp. We received your signal. Are you safe? Leo pressed the button. Yes, I'm with someone, an alien native. We need help, and we need to speak to command, the voice replied. Understood. Stay where you are. We're sending a ship. Zara watched the sky. What will they say? Leo turned to her. We'll find out together. Far behind them, in the temple ruins, the council stood before the glowing circle. The elder who once warned Zara now looked at the light and spoke in a low voice. The bond has awakened fully. If they reach the humans, nothing will be the same. Again, another council member asked, Shall we stop them? The elder sighed. No, if fate chose them, we must see where it leads. Back at the hill, Leo and Zara sat together under a tall tree. The wind was gentle, the sun was warm. Birds began to sing. Zara leaned her head on his shoulder. Whatever comes next. I'm not afraid, Leo nodded. Me neither. Above them, the sound of an approaching ship filled the sky. The wind carried a soft hum across the treetops as Leo and Zara watched the ship descend from the sky. It was sleek and silver, marked with the blue flags of Earth's expedition team. Its engines let out a soft hiss as it hovered, then slowly landed in the clearing below the hill. Zara stood beside Leo, silent but alert. Her eyes didn't show fear, but they did hold worry, Leo noticed. You're thinking about what might happen next. Zara nodded slowly. I don't know what your people will say or do. Leo placed a reassuring hand on hers. They'll listen to me. You helped me when I needed it. I won't let them treat you like an enemy. She gave him a faint smile, though her heart still beat fast. As the ship's doors opened, a group of human officers stepped out. They wore black and gray suits with green lights across their arms. At the front stood Commander Rourke, a tall man with sharp eyes and white hair. Leo, the commander called. Are you all right? Leo stepped forward and nodded. I'm fine. Zara helped me. I'd be dead without her. Rourke looked at the alien woman beside him. His eyes narrowed, but not in anger, more in study. She's one of the natives? Leo nodded. Yes, but more than that, she's part of something important. Zara bowed her head politely. I don't mean harm. I came because something happened between us. Rourke crossed his arms. Explain. Leo took a breath. Something ancient, a biological bond. It began when I was wounded. Her people react to human blood in ways they don't fully understand, but this is not just instinct, it's connection. Real and emotional. Another officer behind Rourke whispered, Is that even possible? Leo answered firmly, Yes, and not only possible, it already happened. Rourke looked at Zara again, studying her calm face. Why did you risk your life to bring him here? Zara stepped forward. Because I felt something I could not ignore. I was taught to stay away from humans. But when I met Leo, I realized the old stories were wrong. We are not enemies. Not anymore. For a moment there was silence. Then Rourke slowly nodded. You did the right thing, both of you. But this is bigger than just us now. He turned to his officers. Prepare a secure call to Earth Command. They'll want to hear this directly. Inside the ship, Leo and Zara sat in the communications room. A large screen lit up in front of them, showing the faces of high-ranking leaders from Earth. Some wore military uniforms. Others were scientists and diplomats. Commander Rourke stood beside Leo and gave a report. Explorer Leo survived in the wild thanks to local aid. His experience has revealed an ancient bond between humans and one of Viridia 6's native species. I believe this situation requires peaceful contact, not separation. One of the leaders on the screen leaned forward. And this alien, she can speak for her people? Zara stepped up. I do not speak for all, but I know what I've seen. My people fear humans because of the past. But I've seen kindness, bravery, and respect in Leo. If we want peace, it begins here with understanding. The room went quiet again. Then another voice, softer this time, said, Perhaps this bond is not a threat, but a gift. Heads nodded slowly. Leo added, There's an ancient temple deep in the jungle. It shows humans and our kind together long. Before we forgot, we believe it means something. Maybe this is a second chance? The council members exchanged looks. Finally, one of them spoke. You have permission to stay on the planet. Continue peaceful interaction, learn, but above all do not let this bond be broken by fear. Zara smiled gently. Leo squeezed her hand in quiet agreement. Over the next few days, Earth's science team set up a small camp near the river valley. Zara agreed to guide them carefully, as long as they promised not to harm the forest. Leo stayed by her side, acting as a bridge between both sides. A message was sent to Zara's people as well, an invitation to meet, not to fight. At first there was silence, then one evening as the sun set, several figures appeared at the edge of the trees. They were elders, scouts, and even younger villagers. Curious and unsure, Zara stepped forward with Leo and bowed deeply. We don't come to break your ways, she said, but to offer something new. An elder stepped ahead. It was the same one who had warned her in the temple. He looked at her, then at Leo. And what is this new path you offer? Leo answered, A future where both our peoples learn from each other, where no one needs to hide, where this bond brings strength, not danger. The elder was silent for a long time. Then he said, Show us. That night, a circle was formed around the ancient temple. Humans and aliens sat together as light glowed gently on the walls. They listened to Zara's stories. They watched as Leo spoke of his journey. Zyra showed them the carvings of peace, of unity, of ancient harmony. She placed her hand on the glowing circle in the center of the floor. "This is not just a symbol," she said. "It's a promise," Leo placed his hand beside hers. As they touched the circle together, a soft light spread across the floor again. The carvings glowed brighter than ever before. A quiet warmth filled the room. Like the temple itself welcomed them, the aliens whispered among themselves. Some smiled, some wept. Weeks passed. Trust began to grow. Humans helped build shared spaces. Zyra's people taught them about the forest, the creatures, and the history lost in time. New paths were opened. Trade, learning, and even friendships followed. And at the center of it all, Leo and Zyra remained a living symbol of the bond that once was, and the future now possible. One morning, as they walked near the pond where they first met, Leo turned to her. "Do you ever wonder why this happened to us?" Zyra looked into the clear water. "Not anymore." "Why?" "Because it doesn't matter why." "Only that it did," she said with a smile. "And that we chose to follow it," Leo smiled too. "Then I'm glad I got scratched by that jungle beast," she laughed softly. "Fate works in strange ways." They sat by the water, holding hands, and somewhere deep in the forest, where once fear had ruled, now hope quietly bloomed.